The iPad 7th generation has been out for almost a year, and I've had mine for about 2 months now. Using it every day for work-related tasks, watching content on Netflix or YouTube, and writing scripts for YouTube videos, the iPad 7th generation has been nothing but a pleasure to use. For only $280 to $300 for a tablet that can double up as a laptop, this is definitely one of the best deals in tech today. So to get started, the first thing you can see here is the design of the 7th generation iPad. It doesn't look like its big brother, the iPad Pro, but it still has the all-around great look to it. One thing that this iPad has over its big brother is that it still has a headphone jack for anybody who still uses it. The only thing that I'll change about the design of this iPad are the bezels that are pretty outdated in 2020, but there's also the sacrifice we have to make to pay only around $300 for a tablet with this type of power. Moving on to the display itself, it's really vibrant and can get pretty bright with the PPI of 264 and 500 nits of peak brightness. The display also has a resolution of 2160 by 1620 and looks incredibly sharp. If you don't really have any prior experience using the iPad Pro, you're going to look at this iPad and think it's going to look amazing, and you're really not going to ask for too much more. However, a negative about this display of this iPad is the glare that it has. When the iPad is facing any light source, it can get pretty annoying by having to keep adjusting it so it's out of the light. And I'm sure that there's a bunch of anti-glare screen protectors out there, but honestly, I still think even if you put one on, you're going to have some issues with the glare with this iPad. For anybody out there looking to do a little bit more than simply web browsing, watching some content online, or even playing some games, I would definitely recommend for you guys to look into getting a keyboard for your iPad. There's a few options out there like the official iPad case from Apple or the one that I have here from Logitech. Having a keyboard takes the iPad to a whole new level of productivity and functionality. For me personally, I'm able to reply to emails with ease, and I'm also able to write down scripts on Notion for these YouTube videos, as well as do some schoolwork like essays, a lot easier with the keyboard with this iPad. With the proper keyboard that's actually part of the case like the one I have here, it makes for a really portable laptop-like experience. I haven't ordered an Apple Pencil yet, but once I do, I'll definitely test it out and give you guys a review of what I think about it, along with the Logitech Folio keyboard that I'm using with my iPad. Now, taking a look at the camera of this iPad, we can see that it's really not the best, but it's also really not the worst. The photos aren't the sharpest or the most color accurate, but for a tablet, it's a pretty decent camera. Comparing it to the iPhone 8 Plus, we can see that it's much less detailed, and the iPhone easily has an advantage over the iPad in almost every situation. I did find for FaceTime calls, the front-facing camera had a tight focal range, meaning that your face would be a little bit too up close, which nobody really likes. Now, I'm sure by now we all know that this iPad is great for just consuming media and consuming content, or just doing some light activity on this iPad, but where it gets a little bit tricky is the processor that's inside of it. This iPad features the Apple A10 processor, which was featured in the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus that was released in 2016. This might sound like something to be wary of, but in reality, when you actually use the iPad 7th generation, it feels just fine. I decided to do some tests with the basic photo and video editing programs, and this iPad didn't really struggle too much. If you're looking to take a bigger workflow of your production over to your iPad, this is the only time that I would really recommend for you to look at the iPad Pro. So on a day-to-day basis with this iPad, I've mainly been watching YouTube videos, watching a lot of Netflix, and doing some work here and there with Notion and Google Drive to write these videos. iPadOS has really made the iPad a much more laptop-like experience by adding in the support for a mouse. Additionally, there's also multitasking and the Files app where you can download files to use on your iPad like photos or videos to edit. This iPad runs this version of iPadOS perfectly, and honestly looking into the future, I could see this iPad running like 5 or 6 years down the line with no compatibility issues. Overall, for me, this iPad feels like the perfect machine right now to reply to emails and texts, get some light work done, and just consume media. And this iPad honestly has a really strange, unexplainable feeling to it when you're using it, and it just feels a lot more fun to use rather than just using your conventional laptop or desktop. And I'm not sure if that's just the boredom speaking from using a laptop or desktop to get all my work done previously, but honestly the user experience of this iPad has been amazing, and I'm sure it only just gets better with the iPad Pro. For only around $300, and even under sometimes when it's on sale, this iPad honestly does everything really well for such an amazing price. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you guys did enjoy this one, be sure to go down below and hit that like and subscribe button. And thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.